The reason I was saying I got dumped is because when I presented the situation to the guy, like, these are my needs, I feel like they're not being met. I feel like the best decision is for me to walk away or for us to end things because we're just not aligned. Blah, blah, blah. The response that I would have wanted would be like, okay, how can we make this work? What can I do? I want you. I want to be in this relationship. I want this to work. Let's figure this out. And I didn't get that. So essentially it's like, yeah, I got dumped. Like I think I don't know. I think I'm over like the words in general. I don't know. And I'm a firm believer that like when a man wants you, he'll come and get you. So if that man ain't trying to come and get you, like in a literal sense and in a figurative sense, he don't want you like that for real. He's not serious. And so I can't be stupid, like that would be delusional of me to think otherwise. So I was like, yeah, I think it's best for me to walk away. And I feel like sometimes men put, not purposefully, but put you in situations where it's like, okay, well, I kind of have to choose this option. And that's what be like bugging me. I don't know.
I think what bugs guys is, or most people, is when you're not clear with your communication. When you have the title of being the most communicative of the genders, but you're not really communicating. If there's something you want, if you want someone to have a certain reaction, or you're trying to elicit a reaction from them, you try to manipulate them into one way or another. But if you give a guy what essentially amounts to like an ultimatum, there's something inside. I'm speaking for myself. There's something inside me that's going to go left. That just wants to go left, because it's not just that, not that I don't care about you, that I don't love you, I don't want to make this work. It's just that I know, like negotiating with terrorists, this is not going to be the last time. This is not going to be the last ultimatum, because it worked the first time. It'll work again. And when you're playing games in this sort of fashion, there's going to be a winner and loser. And most men who have had experience know that the best thing to do is get off the ride. It's not that he's choosing, I don't want to communicate, I want to do this for you. He's just getting off the ride. That's really what it is. Before we continue, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss new uploads. Still going strong. Still trying to do 2 a day. Still trying to pay this rent. So I chose this video because it's, and it's an older one. I think it made its rounds way before I came onto the internet, started making videos. But it describes and elucidates a very important thing in terms of what men sometimes experience and sometimes what women experience. I'm going to give you, I'm going to communicate to you, I'm going to talk to you, but I want you to do something. I want you, or have this expectation that you're going to do something, and then I'm going to be pleased. I'll give you an example. And this is I may have mentioned it before. Years ago, in my youth, I had this girlfriend, and we would fight regularly, regularly. You could set your calendar by it. If we didn't fight 3 times a week, then something was wrong. So, and it would be about semantics. It'd be about nothing. It just sometimes I think when we don't understand, or we don't have good examples of relationships, we kind of emulate what we've seen, and what we've seen is poor. Then we're going to have the same sort of poor behavior. But she was staying at my little place, a little basement studio apartment thing, and she was upset, and then she was like, "All right, we're done." Okay, walk her out, the house, and taxi comes and gets her, and I go back downstairs doing my thing, and then maybe 15 minutes later, there's knocking at the door, and then she says, "I can't believe you let me go." Well, why did you communicate to me that you wanted to go? No, you wanted to see if I was going to fight. You wanted me to fight for you, so then you could say you could see you felt loved. But while I was there trying to communicate and fight for you to stay and have the conversation and find out what was wrong, That wasn't how you sort of pictured it happening. So you try to maneuver me into this doing this specific action. And a lot of that action is stuff you've seen on TV, stuff you've seen on movies, stuff you've seen that's not really real. It's not really how people interact or communicate or move. But in your head, this looks like love, or this looks like what you want to see. So instead of actually saying, it's what is the goal? In her case, I want this man to communicate that he loves me, that he wants to fight for me, that he wants to fix his things, the things that I'm telling him are problems. No, instead, what you do, you try to maneuver, you try to make it seem like this. And then you put it on the men like, oh man, if he really cares for you or likes you, he'll or loves you, he'll come for you. If you think that men are just that simplistic, there's no other issues and other things, there's no other desires, there's nothing else going on in life. It's a simple thing. You got input X and an output Y. If I do this to him, he'll do that. We're not toys, right? We're not, uncomplex, rudimentary formulas. Men have their everything else just as complex as you are. He may want to do all these things, but he knows, or he has what every other issue or every other thought in his head saying, this will never end here. If especially this, if we're together, right? And this is a personal thing, I'm going to believe what you say, right? Because you're an adult, you're a fully functioning adult in America. You've navigated American life, right? The trials and tribulations of American life, especially, being black. You've navigated that and you've done well for yourself. I'm going to believe the words you use because I'm not Professor X, and even if I would not use Cerebro to read your mind. Deep cut. I know he doesn't need Cerebro to read your mind. I'm just saying, right? But I would not try to read your mind. I would simply listen to the words you're saying, how you communicate with me. I owe you that respect just because you're an adult. Now that we're actually together and we have feelings, we're in a relationship, whatever, you owe me the same respect to mean what you say and not try to use your words to manipulate me. I will listen to what you have to say, but once that manipulation starts, being detected, everything else starts getting cut off. You would not manipulate someone you respected. I didn't say loved. You manipulate people you love all the time. You gotta have to do it with your kids. Sometimes you're used to doing that, because we've taught women how to do that since they were children. You simply cry and you get your way. That's why the tears seem that's why men today don't seem to respond to tears. They've seen it before. They've seen it turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. So the minute manipulation's detected, I'm shutting down because you don't respect me. Again, not that you don't love me, you don't respect me. But when you try to manipulate people, men, into this sort of thing, I want him to do this, so that's why I'm doing this. No, it's usually you're going to get the same response. You're going to get a shutdown. But listen, if you think I missed something, let me know down in the comments below. If you see videos on your screen right now, I'm doing my job. Shout out to me. Shout out to you. Take a look at those. Let me know what you think about those in those videos. And of course, if you listen to sound my voice at the end of this video, you haven't subscribed, join the train. We're just trying to pay the rent. I'll see you in the next one.